Oscar celebration. Now it's time to find out the nominees. And Chris Conley, you're back with us, along with People and Entertainment Weekly editorial director Jess Cagle. Welcome.
Among the nominees that we're going to hear coming up, Best Supporting Actor. What's your take on this, Chris?
Well, remember, Hugh Grant was up in Golden Globes for Florence Foster Jenkins in Best Actor. He moves over to supporting for the Oscars. I don't know what he's supporting except for the whole movie because his role is huge.
He's great in that movie.
He was great. It causes kind of a logjam. We're going to be interested to see if Aaron Taylor-Johnson, the winner of the Golden Globe in this category, even gets a nomination.
You going to give us a bet?
I'm going to say no. I bet he doesn't.
Whoa. Wow. Best song, really competitive.
Really competitive because you've got, of course, La La Land, a musical. So I'm expecting a couple of the slots, right? Really good one. I expect a couple of the slots to go to that. However, you've also got Pharrell, you've got Lin-Manuel Miranda.
Yeah.
Sure.
You know, Justin Timberlake.
Yeah.
It's a good category.
Yeah.
Not a shortage of good songs.
Let's get to it, should we say?
You ready to get to it?
Let's do it.
Are you guys a little anxious?
A little bit.
A little nervous?
So excited.
All right, let's
We're
stop
doing
talking and let's get to it. Let's
right?
go to the nominations, everybody. Well,
Being nominated felt like
Honored.
Unbelievable.
It was exciting.
A legal high.
I guess I just flipped out over it.
It's kind of like when a piñata breaks open and everything comes spilling out.
People are like, I'm so humbled by this moment. Like, no, I feel like the greatest.
Completely shocking.
Really proud.
you don't get moments like that every day. That was a moment in time, for sure.
The Academy Awards you think you know, that's not how it's always been. In 1929, there were no nominations, and the winners were announced in advance. So today we're going to change things up again, and we're going to invite past Oscar nominees and winners to help welcome this new class, and to actually walk them through the next 33 days.
For that year, I was part of that small selected group of the brightest stars, and I was able to bring my mother to the Oscars, who always wanted to be an actress, and she got to sit right next to me and be so proud of me walking on that stage. The nominees for supporting actor are
Mahershala Ali in Moonlight, Jeff Bridges in Hell or High Water, Lucas Hedges in Manchester by the Sea, Dev Patel in Lion, and Michael Shannon in Nocturnal Animals.
The nominees for cinematography are
Arrival, La La Land, Lion, Moonlight, and Silence.
The phone rang, and my lawyer was on the phone. I thought I'd done something wrong. He said you were nominated for an Oscar. But I was by myself in this hotel room. I didn't have anybody near me, any family. And before I had the chance to call my mom, my door rang, and the waitress came in, and I just burst into tears and said, I've just been nominated for an Oscar. And she put the tray down and she said, give us a hug.
Documentary feature, Fire at Sea, I Am Not Your Negro, Life Animated, OJ, Made in America, and 13th. Best Documentary Short Subject, Extremis, 4.1 Miles, Joe's Violin, Watani, My Homeland, and The White Helmets.
We are fortunate. And of course, you should have fun with all of this. But a day after, the very next day after the Oscars, the focus should be back to making films. Good films. The nominees for foreign language film are
Land of Mine from Denmark, A Man Called Uva from Sweden, The Salesman from Iran, Tana from Australia, Tony Erdmann from Germany.
The nominees for live action short are
Un Amis Antérieurs, La Femme et le TGV, Silent Nights, Sing, and Time Code.
When I heard my name, I think I just about passed out.
And then when I heard Lenny Abrahamson's name, the director of Room, that's when I really lost my mind. It was just the best moment of my life. The nominees for lead actor are
Casey Affleck in Manchester by the Sea, Andrew Garfield in Hacksaw Ridge, Ryan Gosling in La La Land, Viggo Mortensen in Captain Fantastic, and Denzel Washington in Fences.
The nominees for sound editing are
Arrival, Deepwater Horizon, Hacksaw Ridge, La La Land, and Sully.
The nominees for sound mixing are
Arrival, Hacksaw Ridge, La La Land, Rogue One, A Star Wars Story, and 13 Hours, The Secret Soldiers of Benghazi.
It was very early in the morning, and the first thing I did was wake up my wife. I think immediately call someone that is gonna take you down a few notches. That's why I woke up my wife. The nominees for production design are
Arrival, Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, Hail Caesar, La La Land, and Passengers.
the nominees for visual effects are
Deepwater Horizon, Doctor Strange, The Jungle Book, Kubo and the Two Strings, and Rogue One, A Star Wars Story.
We were making The Big Chill, and I heard it, and as they'd say in England, I was gobsmacked out of the blue. I had no clue. I had no expectation.
Costume design, Allied, Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, Florence Foster Jenkins, Jackie, and La La Land. Makeup and hairstyling, A Man Called Uva, Star Trek Beyond, and Suicide Squad.
The score of music in a film, that is like to me the most impactful and powerful music. Let's not forget about Jaws with that dun, 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 dun. Like that type of power that it exudes to drive your every emotion through the film, and you don't even know that's what's driving your emotion. That is powerful. The nominees for original score are
Jackie, Mika Levy, La La Land, Justin Hurwitz, Lion, Dustin O'Halloran and Hauschka, Moonlight, Nicholas Britell, and Passengers, Thomas Newman.
the nominees for original song are
Audition, The Fools Who Dream from La La Land, Can't Stop the Feeling from Trolls, City of Stars from La La Land, The Empty Chair from Jim, the James Foley Story, How Far I'll Go from Moana.
Nice start here. There's still more to come. There's still more to come. But what jumps out at you? What we saw?
Well, in
already?
case you're wondering, apparently you weren't allowed to nominate La La Land for Best Documentary. I think that's the only thing I heard. Biggest surprise, probably Michael Shannon in the Hugh Grant slot. He was fantastic in Nocturnal Animals. So good job by the Academy on that one.
Moonlight's doing well, Jeff.
Yeah, Moonlight's doing very well. The thing that surprised me was Pharrell was not nominated for Hidden Figures for his song, which I'm surprised to hear that. Empty Chair got it instead.
We did get Lin-Manuel Miranda from
So
Moana and Justin Timberlake.
Right. So we have EGOT in play for Lin-Manuel Miranda, going for the total sweep of the big nominations. And EGOT is in play here if he wins the Oscar for this. And we have our shot at Ryan Gosling and Justin Timberlake reuniting like they ought to be.
On the Oscar stage.
I'm psyched.
Welcome back to GMA, live from Times Square.
Nice tune. Welcome back here. our wonderful audience that is here with us. Some of the Oscar nominations are already out. More are headed this way.
Yes, they are. We have so many of you who are already weighing in on the nominees. We're going to take a look at our survey, and they're picking who they think will win the Best Supporting Actor.
Yeah. So let's listen in for more nominations.
My big piece of advice when you're nominated is not to pop the champagne right away, because that's going to continue for a long time. In this case, maybe 33 days. And you got a big job ahead of you. You might have to give a speech in front of millions and millions of people, and you don't want to screw it up. The nominees for original screenplay are
Hell or High Water, Taylor Sheridan. La La Land, Damien Chazelle. The Lobster, Yorgos Lanthimos, Efthimos Filippo. Manchester by the Sea, Kenneth Lonergan. And 20th Century Women, Mike Mills.
And the nominees for adapted screenplay are
Arrival, Eric Heiserer. Fences, August Wilson. Hidden Figures, Alison Schroeder and Theodore Melfi. Lion, Luke Davies. And Moonlight, Barry Jenkins and Terrell Alvin McCraney.
So the first time that I really truly ever experienced the Academy and the Oscars was when I was there, nominated for an Oscar. And I haven't stopped watching it since. The nominees for animated feature are
Kubo and the Two Strings. Moana, My Life as a Zucchini. The Red Turtle and Zootopia.
The nominees for animated short are
Blind Vaisha, Borrowed Time, Pear Cider and Cigarettes, Pearl, and Piper.
I got to meet Lee Daniels, the director, and he just gave me the role after about 30 to 45 minutes of talking. And so I don't know how other people get nominated for Oscars, but for me it was hella easy. Here are some more of this year's nominations.
Actress in a supporting role. Viola Davis in Fences. Naomi Harris in Moonlight. Nicole Kidman in Lion. Octavia Spencer in Hidden Figures. And Michelle Williams in Manchester by the Sea. Film editing. Arrival. Hacksaw Ridge. Hell or High Water. La La Land. And Moonlight.
My phone rang. It was my father. And we both just started crying, and neither of us could finish the sentence. It was one of the greatest moments of my life. And it was 2 years later that we actually got nominated together for Up in the Air. And the nominees for lead actress are
Isabelle Huppert in Elle. Ruth Negga in Loving. Natalie Portman in Jackie. Emma Stone in La La Land. And Meryl Streep in Florence Foster Jenkins. Directing. Arrival. Denis Villeneuve. Hacksaw Ridge. Mel Gibson. La La Land. Damien Chazelle. Manchester by the Sea. Kenneth Lonergan. And Moonlight. Barry Jenkins.
To our global community of filmmakers and fans, and to everyone who is inspired by movies and loves them as much as we do, thank you so much for joining us this morning.
I'm thrilled to be here with Cheryl to welcome the nominees for the 89th Academy Awards. And I'm especially honored to help announce this year's nominees for Best Picture.
Arrival.
Fences,
Hacksaw Ridge.
Hell or High Water,
Hidden Figures.
La La Land,
Lion.
Manchester by the Sea,
Moonlight. Congratulations to all the extraordinary artists and filmmakers nominated today. It's going to be a great show.
Huge congratulations.
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 The idea of you being an Oscar nominee is actually now part of your name to the day you die.
Embrace this moment because just being nominated alone makes you a winner.
Make a speech anyway, because there's nothing more boring than an unprepared actor.
I want to congratulate all the nominees, and I advise them to wear comfortable shoes to the ceremony.
Get sleep when you can, sneak into the Oscars with a flask, and have a good time.
Like some good advice.
Congratulations. Can we just say congratulations to all the nominees?
Yeah,
What an honor it is. Exciting.
Does Meryl Streep ever not get nominated?
You know, not in my universe, she doesn't, no. I mean, the big surprise there is Amy Adams not getting nominated for Arrival, especially given how strong Arrival did across the board. 9 nominations in Best Picture, so that leaves out things like Deadpool, but it's a very strong group, you'd have to say that.
What jumped out for you?
I still think La La Land is going to be the movie to beat based on all of the nominations today. I love the Best Actress. That was the most unpredictable category, and it remains unpredictable. Isabelle Huppert, Natalie Portman, Emma Stone, Meryl Streep, Ruth Negga from Loving. This is a fantastic group, and but Annette Bening left out, Emily Blunt left out, even though she had a Screen Actors Guild for The Girl on the Train. Amy Adams, 5-time nominee. I thought she may have had a chance to even win this year for Arrival, but she wasn't nominated.
The supporting categories are both strong.
They very much are across the board. Supporting actress pretty much went the way you would imagine, I think, although the 2 women from 20th Century Women were very strong, Greta Gerwig and Elle Fanning, but not able to crack. Not able to crack it this time. Viggo Mortensen, I know, is a surprise to a lot of people getting a Best Actor nomination, but this was kind of predicted by a lot of the people who are following this stuff. Leaves people like Tom Hanks not getting a nomination this year, but that's the way it goes. Lots of new faces this year. And a big surprise that Pixar does not get a nomination in feature film for Finding Dory. 2 Disney films instead, but no Pixar.
I was just going to ask you, the animated films make so much money and none make the Best Picture.
If you want to look for where the hit movies are, you'll find them in visual effects and you'll find them in animated film. Doctor Strange, Rogue One, Jungle Book, Zootopia, Moana. These are movies that made a lot of money and they can still be going home with Oscars before it's all over.
Zootopia.
Well, they're movies I've seen every one of them because I have kids too.
Claim that now has the weight of the highest office in the land behind it. The White House now saying President Trump believes millions of people voted illegally in the election he won. Of course, there's no evidence for this belief. It's based on nothing. It's not true. There is no evidence that 3 to 5 million people voted illegally. None. So let's talk about it with our political panel. We have with us Kristen Soltis Anderson and Ruth Marcus. Here's the big question, I think. Does it matter? Does it matter that he believes this? And I'll start with you, Ruth, in terms of whether or not it matters to our democracy, and then I want to ask you about the politics of it.
Well, so I think the answer to the question, does it matter, depends on to whom. I think it does matter broadly to our democracy because he's simple for a number of reasons. First of all, he's simply saying something that's demonstrably untrue. That calls into question his assessment of other facts. It calls into question his personality and his resilience. And it calls into question the kind of foundations of our democracy. But it doesn't matter. There's certainly a set of voters to whom it doesn't matter, the people who wouldn't care if he shot somebody on Fifth Avenue. There are a lot of people.
To quote him.
The people who share his beliefs. But I think there's a bunch of people out there who want to think best of their new president, who want to feel reassured. And I think for them, and Kristen can answer this and assess this better than I can, it's fundamentally unreassuring. It's destabilizing.
Do the politics of this matter? The fact that senators and members of Congress are now going to be asked by reporters, what do you think? What do you think? It's already happening. And I haven't heard one person say, yes, of course, 3 to 5 million people voted illegally, because again, it's not true. But does it matter politically? Is it going to hurt Republicans? Is it going to hurt Donald Trump in his ability to get his agenda through Congress?
Well, they'd probably rather be talking about something else, right? They'd rather be talking about what they're going to do with the Affordable Care Act than talking about how many people rode the Metro on Inauguration Day. They'd rather be talking about what they're going to do in tax reform than talking about whether or not illegal ballots were cast in this election. So it's a distraction, I think, from some of the things that congressional Republicans would like to drive on their message. But I think that the other problem is that it continues to erode this trust. I mean, you do have about a third of people who I would assume hear this claim, and maybe the 3 to 5 million doesn't matter to them, but they think, look, there's probably voter fraud in this country, and good for Donald Trump for standing up to the media and saying so. And then you've got a third of the country that says, there's absolutely no way this is the case. Donald Trump is terrible. And I think the problem is, to Ruth's point, you've got this part in the middle that they want to think well of the president. Maybe they think voter fraud happens, but why is he talking about this? And why is he saying it in such an extreme way? And he won, and shouldn't he get over it? And I think that's what I think is the struggle for the politics of this is why go there? Why go there and insist that it's 3 to 5 million? I think that's where he's really gone astray on this.
And people always say, well, look, you can't argue with it. He won. And it's true, he won. But he lost the popular vote, and he's the least popular U.S. president at this point in his presidency. I don't doubt that he...
Only if you believe the rigged polls.
I don't doubt that he can get more popular, but and that he will, but he's unpopular now. And could this have an effect in keeping his numbers down?
I think it could. I think people... Look, if you look at the normal trajectory of numbers, from election day to inauguration, those numbers tend to go up. His have been, for the most part, flat or down a little bit, depending on which polls you look at. And I think it's not possible to overestimate the degree to which, look, people say wacky things when they're candidates. Usually it hurts them. With Donald Trump, it didn't. People say wacky things when they're nominees. Usually it hurts them. With Donald Trump, it didn't. With as president-elect. But when you say something this wacky as president, it really has a effect on, I think, the public mood and trust that could have implications beyond the fact that he said it before.
See, I don't know that it actually moves numbers. I think this sort of thing in many ways is baked in. What makes me concerned is when you have these debates about facts, whether it's something as substantial as 3 to 5 million people voting or something as silly as metro ridership, is there are going to be times when you need to have a population that 100% trusts what is being told to them, either by the media or by the government. In the case of a natural disaster, in the case of a terrorist attack, I mean, there are moments when you need to be able, as a leader of the country, to have the trust of 100% of people out there that you're shooting straight. And I think when these things, whether there's something little or something that's now bigger with this voter fraud claim, what really concerns me is that you now have most Americans who either don't believe the president or don't believe the media, and that just it creates a very scary situation.
And just assuming you're totally correct that it won't move numbers, that's not a good situation for the new president, right? He wants his numbers to improve, as Jake held out that possibility.
You don't think it's possible?
I think that there totally were ways for him to come into office and accept the reality of that there are a lot of Americans who are unsettled by his election, to say what he said on election night about binding the wounds of division, to reach out to them, to recognize his role in bringing the country together and unifying them. And I think that he's done pretty much anything but through the course of the transition and now in his beginning days as president.
I think it may be too soon to tell, though. I think that a lot of this is going to be about actions, not words. I think it's going to be about whether or not people feel like, has their health care gotten better? Do they feel like they have better job prospects? I think these are the things that most people are going to judge Donald Trump on, and it's too early to say.
And I think that's a totally fair point, and there have been things that haven't happened that I think are quite interesting. For example, the decision not to reverse the President Obama's order on the Dreamers. That is actually, it's an absence of action, but it's a unifying absence of action in the sense that that would be might be popular with his base, but those are among the most sympathetic people that you can imagine. They were here through no fault of their own. They grew up as Americans. So I think there are actions or absence of actions that could be helpful. I think those will be more important in the long run. I'm just arguing that these words aren't helpful.
It is true, though, I will say, that the first crack in the Republicans came today with Lindsey Graham criticizing President Trump on this, because the Republicans have pretty much been in lockstep, going along with Rex Tillerson, even though Graham, Rubio, and McCain all had serious reservations. Not saying anything about the specific trade deal that overwhelmingly Republicans supported. They've been going along with Donald Trump. Today was the first. Lindsey Graham, not a big supporter of Donald Trump, but one wonders, is this just the first of many?
Well, my assumption is that for the first month or so, you're going to see congressional Republicans trying their very best to be as supportive as they possibly can of the president on policy issues, to let him try to govern, to give him a chance, so that if things go south, he can't immediately say, well, those congressional Republicans stopped me from day one. So I think he has a little bit of latitude. But I think on things like, for instance, this claim of 3 to 5 million people voting fraudulently, I think those are the sorts of things where you'll see a little more comfort from congressional Republicans to break away.
Kristen and Ruth, thank you so much. Great conversation. Appreciate it.